Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Michelle Dutressa and I'm an independent demonstrator here in New South Wales, Australia with Stampin Up. So thank you very much for joining me today. We're going to have a bit of play with something that's a little bit fun. Stampin Up have got in their, I think it's in their mini catalogue. Let's have a quick look since we're now able to open it. And I'm just going to flip this down. Jump on, say hello, let us know where you're from. It's always great to have new people on here. So, and always great to have a chat with everybody jumping on as well. Here we are. This is what we're going to have a play with today. We're going to have a play with the Cute as a Bug suite. So what's in this is that you have a stamp set with all these lovely bugs here that you can stamp. You also have a range of dies that you can cut those stamps out with. You've got your designer series paper, of course. And let me just pop this onto chat so I can see who's on here. Hello, Nicole. Thank you for jumping on. And some of these creatures on this sheet here can actually be cut out with those dies. On the other sheets, they do need to be fussy cut. You also have some ribbon, and we also have the lovely, what do they call these? The epoxy, ladybug garden epoxy shapes, which is ladybugs and some like little dewdrops. So that's what we're going to have a play with today. They've got another 2 pages here showing the products used in creating all sorts of fun projects. So jump on, have a look at this when you can. If you want to purchase any of these products from me, you can do so on my online store. There is a link to our online store at butterfliesandbows.com. Okay, so Nicole, hopefully your Cute as a Bug arrives today. Oh, I hope it does too. I mean, I've only pulled this out today. It's the first day of playing with it. And so far, I'm having so much fun with it. It is such a cute thing to play with. So, yeah. So let's get creating. So what I've got here, I've got my stamp set. I'm not actually going to be doing much stamping today except for a sentiment. And I have got the dies. Now I put both my dies and my stamp set into one package. I just have them 2 separate, and then I just put them together back to back. That way I've always got mine together. I don't have to go searching for one or the other. I'll also be using some of these circle dies from, trying to remember the name of the dies. I'm just throwing them in here, I believe. Hold on a sec. No, it's not from them. Something on nature. Sorry. Oh, here they are, right at the top here. Okay, Spotlight on Nature dies. So I'm using some of the circle dies from that as well. And, of course, the designer series paper. We have the ribbon here. I haven't even opened this yet. It's terrible. So let's have a quick open of this. I'm not a big ribbon user, so I would like to see if I can use this today, but I don't know. But that is nice and soft. It is a nice. It has got a little bit of a rickrack look to it, though it's not a true rickrack, but it is a nice soft ribbon. And if we, how this will go tied as a bow. That ties actually quite well because it is so soft. Sometimes I find the ribbons, when you tie them up in a bow, they become very bulky. This is not so bulky. So that's good. So that's a really nice ribbon to use. Okay, and as I said before, we have our epoxy ladybugs and dewdrops as well. So I've already done a fair amount of cutting and everything, just to save a little bit of time. Now, one thing I will mention, with these dies, you also have these, I was going to say call them marshmallows. I don't know why I want to call them marshmallows. Mushrooms. It's my brain. My brain's still not over this bug that I've had, so I'm sort of still not quite thinking straight. But you have these lovely little mushrooms which you can colour, which we're going to do today as well. So even though we're not doing some stamping, we are going to do some colouring. Yeah, that's right. You don't necessarily need to tie it in a bow because you have got that texture with it as well. So I've already, as I said, I've already pulled out some stuff. I've already done some cutting. I haven't completed all my cutting, but I do have my card base, and I have cut my card base in Old Olive. And I'm doing a 10-fold as I normally would do. And that's cut at 10.5 by 29.9. As I said, I will put this all up on my blog in the next few days. I've got a piece of basic white for my card insert and a little trim there to go in the red gingham that is in the paper pack. I have got another piece of basic white, which I'm going to be using as my mat, and another piece of the red gingham to go on top. So I'll just pop those to one side. I am just going to grab out my mini cut and emboss because I do want to cut some circles. Whether I'll end up using these or not, I don't know as yet. But let's have a bit of a play. So I'm going to cut a larger circle out of a piece of Old Olive. And I've just chosen 2 dies, one just slightly the next size down from the other. So the larger one I'm cutting in the green or the Old Olive. As I said, I don't know yet whether I'll be using all of these or not, but let's cut them out and got them ready. So I've chosen that one there with those little holes in it. And then I have got that in my bin down there. And then I've got let's just scrape all those off. I've got a piece of basic white and a smaller circle. Hello, Joan. How are you? Thank you for joining us today. And we're going to cut the smaller circle as well. Let's just pop that to one side for the moment. And there is one thing I do want to try. With that smaller circle, still out of that same die set. And I was thinking of setting that inside of that one. But what I want to have a look at, I have got the Stylish Shapes circle, and it's about the same size. So I'm sort of wondering, will I go to that one, which is slightly plainer, or that one with the lines on it? We'll have a look. We won't make up our minds just yet. So let's get rid of some of this off my table. And we'll pop those aside. So there, my circles die cut. As I said, I have done a little bit of die cutting. So I've gone through that sheet and I've just die cut some of these little fun images. Which of them I'll be using, I don't know. So we've got that one there with the ladybird reading the book, and we've got a bee. Oh, I loved him. And there's only one on the sheet, unfortunately. And then we've got this little bug sitting there. And then I just fussy cut a butterfly, because I thought, no, we have to have our butterfly as well. So I've got all of those. Now, I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to use many of them or if any of them. And now I've got my mushrooms. Now, my mushrooms, I wasn't quite sure whether to cut them out of crumb cake or out of white, so I did them out of both. And then I've cut some of their tops out of Poppy Parade, and I've also cut them out of Cajun Craze. So let's just grab a few of these bottom parts, those ones there in the white, and I'm going to colour them all up and see which ones I prefer. And then I have got some of these as well, some flower, a bit of greenery in there. I've got a couple of those and some of the little flower heads. I only cut 2 of them. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of colouring. So what I've got is my blending brushes here. And I have got, I'm going to colour these first because I've got a brush here with some Old Olive. And all I just want to do is just add a little bit of extra colour to some of these. And I'm going to do it directly onto my mat. Nicole, hello Lenny, how are you? So Nicole, you made a 3D shadow box frame for a fairy doll for your 5-year-old niece. Lots of mushrooms and fairies and unicorns. That sounds lovely. I want to do a shadow box with using these. So I just haven't worked out yet what exactly I want to do. Anyway, I'm just adding a little bit of, now I am adding sort of like Old Olive onto Old Olive, but I just wanted to sort of put a little bit onto the edges, just to give it a little bit of highlight. I'm not necessarily going over the whole lot. I'm sort of more worried about the leaves, just to make them stand out a little bit more. So I just very quickly done those. And just let me wipe this up. Got myself a new chamois out today. Okay, so let's grab, now I've got some pecan pie and I've got crumb cake. So we don't need that one. And I'm going to grab the bigger ones for this one, and I'm going to grab my brush. I've got my bit of crumb cake here. So I just want to see how this is going to look. And all I want to do is just add a bit of colour. We could even put, whoops, oh, almost lost him. He almost went over. I could even actually do some in each. Now that could be interesting. So there's that one. We've got this one here. I'm only worrying about the bottom half. I'm not worrying about that top half. Okay. Do these ones as well. So just not being too fussy. I want the ink to basically grab those cut edges, and that will just give it that little bit of texture. Spotlight have shadow box frames. Okay. Haven't noticed that in my Spotlight. We've only got it's a reasonably sized Spotlight. It's not as big as our Campbelltown store, because I used to work at the Campbelltown one a few years back. So we don't have everything here at in Medigal. Okay, I just want to have a look, see what this one's going to look like. You can see where my fingers have been on those white ones. It's all coloured bar the top of them. Anyway, let's just add a little bit. As I said, we could put a few of each in. We don't have to, because mushrooms come in all shapes and sizes and all different colours. That doesn't look too bad either. The other colour I pulled out just to look at die cutting these was basic beige. So you could even use basic beige if you didn't want to go for a real white. As an alternative. I think some of my ink pads need to be re-inked. We'll do a couple more little ones. Don't seem to have much ink left in this pad. It's okay, I'll get that. And one more. And then we're going to add a bit of pecan pie to them. And I'm going to use the same brush. Okay, so that's adding a little bit of the crumb cake. Let's grab our pecan pie. And I only want the pecan pie at the top. So I'm just going to pat these on. So, and I don't necessarily want it all over. Have a little bit more on one side than on the other. Just so we've got a little bit of variety of tone in there. Just so they don't look as flat. Again, I'm going to do a similar sort of thing on this. Just add a little bit underneath, because the underneath of a mushroom is always darker to what's on top. Okay, quite happy with those. So we'll just move all of those out of the road. Pop them over there. Put that brush up there. And now we want to add a little bit of highlight to our top. So I've got a smaller brush here, and I'm going to start with the Poppy Parade. And grab the Poppy Parade ones. Okay. So I just want to put just a little bit, really just on one side. I'm not even going to go all the way. Just want to put a little bit just on one side to add a bit of shading. Poppy Parade ink is very juicy, so I don't need, I can use up some of this that's on my table. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the Cajun Craze. And I'm just going to grab another small head. Just add a little bit of colour in that. And it doesn't matter if I pick up a little bit of that reddy tones in it. Last one. So what's everybody been up to this last week? Anything exciting? Or have you got something exciting happening over the weekend? Okay, so I didn't realise I had that glare there. I might just see if I can switch that off. That might be better. Sorry about that if that was a bit annoying. And let's just remove those brushes so I don't get anything on other things, and we'll clean up our mess here. Okay, so let's start gluing some of these together. Now I do have to open up a new lot of glue. And we'll start putting these together. Now the only other thing I haven't thought of is whether I want to put a little bit of colour on these. I might just leave them white for the moment. But let's grab some of these. Now this one here, I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on the back of this one. Don't need to put too much. We're just going to line up mushroom heads on that one. This is a smaller one. Add a little bit of glue on the back of that one. Quite like those. They look quite good in that colour. Okay, so we've got another one here. Now, it's whether do I use that colouring or use the, oops. I think we could do a bit of both. So I'm going to use the Cajun Craze on the crumb cake bases, but I'm going to put the Poppy Parade onto the white ones. And then we can mix them up a little bit. I don't need many, so some of these I'll just keep aside for another project. Oops. Put this one onto here. You could too, if you wanted to pop these up a little bit, is put a little bit of dimensional underneath those caps. I don't think I need that one, so let's remove that one. this one here. And the last one. So they're all glued together, and now I've got these, and I just want to add a little bit of glue and pop that onto there. And I think I might leave them white because I think they actually are going to be a nice contrast. Might put that one over there. We only need one or two of these. And whoops, pop that one. Whoops. Onto there like that. Just clean up my little bit of a gluey mess here. Okay, so we'll just let those all sit and dry, and we'll start putting our card together. So let's have a look what we've got. So we've got these two here, which we're going to pop together, and then we're going to do a little bit of a dry run on what's going to go next. Now, I'm not going to glue that down just as yet because I don't know yet what I want to do with the ribbon and what I want to do with these circles. So let's have a little bit of a play. It might even be yet that I make die cut a bigger circle in same as that green. I just want to have a look and see what some of these are going to look like. Pop a few of these. Don't necessarily want to have them all. Oops. Everything's sticking to my fingers. Let me just see if I can clean some of this glue off. Yes, I did do a brilliant job with this particular suite. Let's see if I can do a brilliant job of putting all this together rather than having everything glued together on me. Let's just move that out of the road. I may not even use them yet. Do you want to create some height? Okay, I think I'm going to leave those out in the white at the moment. Quite like that on the green. Excuse me. Okay, I've got a little bit of an idea now where I'm going in what direction. So I think what I want to do is maybe adhere, remove that from there. I want to adhere this down. So one about there. So I'm just going to build this up on my circle. So my circle is sort of like a landing place for these to go. So I want those in the background. And then I just want to build these up over the top. What I might do is I'm going to grab some dimensionals here. And I'm going to pop a dimensional on the back there. So the heads are sort of sitting up a little bit. Create a little bit of a 3D type effect. And I'm going to start with popping that one on first. And then maybe this one. Just put a little bit of glue, not too much, just a little bit of glue on the base of that. Now I don't want to end up with where I've got all one colour on one side and the other colour on the other side. So you've got to sort of you want to keep bringing them together, but have them swapping sides a little bit. So again, I think I might pop a dimensional, and I might use a mini one for this one. The back there. And I also want to have an odd number of these. So I'm going to bring that one down there a little bit. And take the back of that off. Now that's going to be sitting on my card. This will sit to that side, this side. It's not going to be centerized. I don't like to have it in the center. I want to have it more to one side, because then that allows me to put a sentiment going out across the side here. So I just want to fill in some of these little areas here. Now we've still got some little bugs and things to put in there, but I may not necessarily use them all, because some of them could be just a little bit too overpowering, because I do want the mushrooms to be I suppose the hero of this. And I'm going to pop another one of these. Now let's just have a look and see what of these little creatures we could add in. So I've got them all up here. So if we do end up popping that onto there, I haven't glued that one there down yet. So this could be up in here. So if we put something like him on there, he's just going to take over, unless you took that out. You could bring him in, or coming from down the bottom. But it's getting to the point, if I did that, I'm going to be losing where I'm going to be putting my sentiment. And I've pulled off a sentiment, but I haven't decided yet where I want to put that. So I do want to hide some of this area here. So we could put him just sitting in there, sitting in having a bit of a read there under the mushrooms. I did pull that out, but I think that's just going to be adding too much. So we'll leave that there. Also shorten that mushroom, but this is getting quite busy there with stems and everything coming in. So you've got the bee, but no, I don't want the bee, I don't think, because I definitely want that butterfly. I think he is so cute. Okay. Yeah, I don't do many mushrooms either, Marie. You like the first worm, this one here. Yeah, well, he covered up a lot of that, but is he covering up too much? I mean, thing is, we probably should do the sentiment, and then we can sort of work out where the sentiment's going to go also, and whether we're going to be using some of this ribbon or not. That is the other thing, because that could easily go across. So I don't want that in the middle. We'll be sitting up on dimensionals. Just trying to slip that underneath there. I do like him because he is covering some of that. And he just looks like he's going to get a bit lost in there, I think. And that would definitely get lost because it's too much green on green on green. No, I don't want the little them. Look, you know what? I am tending to agree with you, Marie. I think I tend to like him there, but I am going to have that mushroom head going over the top of him. I think I quite like that. And I may even cut one of these down just to add a little bit, take away a little bit of that behind him. That might be the go. So what I think we might do, just very gently take that right out. Going to add that dimensional right there, and that can adhere that into place there. Now I'm going to shorten that a little bit. And add that one in there. And he's not going to go on any dimensionals. I'm just going to put glue on the back of that one. And that is just going to help get rid of. It'd be nice if this had some green, like grass. Like a die cut, they could cut grass. I think that's what you have to be very careful if you're using a lot of the white. I think that's why I'm sort of drawn to using the crumb cake for the mushroom stems, is because you sort of, it'll blend a little bit more into like the back. You'd put the ribbon below the circle? Yeah. No, I don't. I sort of don't want to create like a fork, like a ledge. If anything, I'm going to tie it and maybe put a bow here on the side. But I haven't worked any of that out as yet. But I don't want to create like the look of him sitting in grass. I mean, I like the look of it's hard to explain. I I like this sort of look with him sitting out a little bit. Sort of, this is sort of like the grounding bit. But I was sort of thinking if we had something like a grass, it'd be sitting up in here behind here. So he's sort of sitting below it a little bit. That one's definitely going back on. But let's just have a look and a play with this ribbon. As I said, I still have a sentiment. Go to about there. Let's just cut that off. What I want to do. Now, I'm not quite sure yet whether I'm going to be using any of this, but let's just make our sentiment, and then I can work out what I'm going to do with all of that. So, got a piece of, just going to cut a straighter edge with this. The sentiment I've chosen is Hello Friend. And I'm not quite sure yet how I want this to be. Now, what colour? That is a good question. Okay, we've got, let's have a look. We've got Old Olive. Hello, Leslie, how are you? We've got Poppy Parade. Let's take that off. I don't even know yet whether I want the ribbon. Now we can, this is my cheats way of doing a, so sometimes we'll just draw a pencil line roughly where I want a fussy cut. That way I can, and let's just do one over the green one as well. Sometimes I will cut a little bit inside that green line, that pencil line, just so then I'm not having to rub too much out with the rubber. Just gives me a bit of an idea of where I can cut. Originally I was stamping something to go right across. That's why I sort of started with wanting to create a straight line, but So that's in the red. Let's have a look at it in the green. And I think in the green I'm going to cut a little bit closer to my lettering. Sometimes you want your sentiment to be a little bit tighter. There's a lot happening in this in these papers, so you sort of sometimes if you go a little bit too big in your sentiment or too wide or cut around it not as close, you sort of lose some little details that maybe you don't want to lose. So let's have a look. I've cut that one a little bit closer. Can go back and recut the red one. Because here he's covering a lot of that leaf. This one here, such a big sentiment, that's the problem. I think that's what I'm having a little bit. Or we could put that sentiment down into here. No, that ribbon's annoying me a bit. Let's just have a look at this. Really wanted my sentiment to go going that way. Other thing we can do is, since I have cut around this so close, try to remember to leave the dot above the eye. There's not much room. Have two different words. Separate that hello and friend. Trim this down so everything's nice and neat. Make this all straight. So let's have a look at that. We then could put the hello up here, and I like that better. Okay, rather than keeping it as one solid, and I like it in the green. Am I feeling better? No, I'm not 100% better as yet. Thanks, Marie. I'm still struggling. The cough and everything, I've been on antibiotics for a couple of weeks. I've finished them now. The cough has subsided a lot, but I still have issues, and it's not very nice, and after a while I can't breathe. So I'm also on Ventolin, which I'm probably not taking as much as what I should. Okay, well I quite like that. So I think that is where that's going to go. And I'm going to pop a little mini dimensional on the end of my friend, about there, and a little bit of glue on there. Now remembering we haven't glued this down onto the card front yet because we've still got to decide about that ribbon. That is going to go about there. And I think the hello is just going to go flat because there's a bit of height built up in this because we do have dimensionals and everything sitting here, but let's straighten that hello up a bit. Okay, so that is that. Now it's whether we do something with this. Let me just get rid of some of these little bits and pieces. We still might pop a mushroom or two inside our card, so we'll keep those there. We've got our little ladybug there. But let's have a look at this. The other thing, I've just had an idea, is to create a loop. A loop there and a loop. Nah, I don't like that. If we use it, the raw edges have to be hidden. I can't. Just going to do this for a temporary. Let's see what I think. I can always take it off. So just put a little bit of snail underneath. Pop that on there, but not too much snail that it's going to... I don't have a, it's a 10-fold linny, so there's no spine on there. Actually, that I'm actually a lot happier with. Still got a little bit of ribbon, but I can still have it over to one side, and I'm not going to worry about a bow. I think it's just getting too tizzy, and we've still got to put some of those other gems on there. So I'm happy with that. That will stay on there like that. And I think I can, that's going to be flat enough. I can put glue on there. So let's add some glue. And then with this, I'm going to add some dimensionals onto this because it just needs that little bit more, I think, lift. But we want to remember we don't want to add dimensionals where the ribbon is, because we don't want to cause more bulk underneath there. So I'm just going to pop a couple of dimensionals at the top, a couple of dimensionals down to the bottom, and that ribbon will sit then inside that area there. Now what I will do is add maybe another dimensional on the back of that grub. He can then sit up like that. So we want to make sure our sentiments are nice and straight-ish. Let's pop those down like that. And let's grab our little butterfly because he's going to go just up in there. And I'm just going to grab a scrap of cardstock. Excuse me. I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on the end of there, just to use this like a little bit of a brush. I just want to tap, because that's on a fairly fine, that stem is very, very fine. So I just want to put a little bit of glue behind here. I didn't want to glue that down. That's now in where I want that to be positioned. So let's just pop that to one side and grab our insert. So this is just a scrap piece that I had left over when I was trimming it. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on this. I'm not going to go all the way to the end because I do know that it needs to be trimmed down. And I want that downward stripe of the red to be on the inside. So I'm going to pop that on there. Usually I put these pieces on this side over here, but this time I just want that on that side there. I've got probably a little bit too much glue oozing out there. It's going to get all over my scissors. There we go. So let's grab our card again and pop this on the inside of our card. Oh, I've got glue all over that. Now, as I said, normally, just have a look. Normally I would have that on, glue over everything else again. So normally I'd have that there, but I could also pop that on that side, which is what I was originally thinking, which I think I still will. So let's pop that in there. Oh, excuse me. Now I have got a little bit of glue on here. I'll have to let that dry. I'm just going to see if I can wash some of this glue off my hands. So I'm just getting a little bit of glue everywhere here. So what happens when you've got a new bottle, it's wanting to run out too much. So let's grab a couple of the, now I don't have another small one, I've only got a big one. Okay, I think what I might just use is just the one, and I'm going to go with this one here, and I'm going to pop him just there. Grab the glue that's almost empty to do this, and I'm going to pop a little bit of glue there and a little bit of glue there. So I want to pop that there, and then we can have our little ladybug just sitting underneath reading a book. Okay, so I'll come back later and see if I can remove some of those glue spots. And what I have, I don't even know what brand this is, but you've got this and you've also got one of these that can remove that glue for you. just be very careful using any of these. And sometimes I even will use just a regular rubber. Just make sure it's not dirty like that on the end, just to go over the spot where the glue is. But just be careful if you get doing it onto the designer series paper. It can remove some of your colour out of your paper and out of your cardstock. So they're good tools to have, but you can't use them in every case. Sometimes I find this is just a really good one. You just go around and around in circles until that glue comes up into a ball. This one here doesn't remove the colour so much out of the paper. And I've got another little glue spot right there. You do have to let your glue dry a little bit before you can do that. So that's all of that. We've got one thing left to do, and that is to get our epoxy dots, which I have popped them over here. Now I must admit I do like the little clear epoxy dots probably more so than the, and I'm just going to pop, like the clear ones probably more so than I do the ladybugs, but, and I'm going to pop one here. One there. I might just move that one, just so then it's probably a little bit, they have a mind of their own. I go probably just there. Just so then it looks like a little bit of dew sitting on those mushrooms. There we go. So there's my card today. That was a lot of fun. Didn't end up going down the track that I thought I was going to go down, but really happy with that. Possibly could have moved this mushroom here outwards a little bit because I've got like a blank spot over there. Maybe I can still do it. Let me just have a look without pulling anything apart. Yep, I can still pull him out like that. Just so then it's sort of got a little bit of distance in there covering up that area. So because with this one here, that leaf is going right out over the top, or right past it, but we haven't got anything going past it on this side, but then we don't have much room on this side either. You've got to look at some things sometimes and just juggle whether it's proportionate. So and having the circle this way is made it proportionate with this leaf popping out that way. But anyway, that was a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that's encouraged you maybe to grab this suite and have a bit of a play for yourself. I don't think it's something that you would be disappointed in not get, if you got it. I think you'll be quite happy with it. There's a lot you can do with it, not just for children, be great for adults as well. So take care, have some fun with that one. I will try to get that posted up on my blog, over the weekend. And hopefully we'll find something fun and creative to create for next Friday. So have a great weekend. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye for now.